Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. I hope you are doing so well. So in today's reading, we're going to be looking at the elements. We're going to be working with the elementals and we're asking Spirit, what does Spirit want you to know kind of through each element? And in particular, what elemental gift are you working with or do you innately have? And what element might be guiding you in your life right now? So you can choose more than one if you feel guided to, and you might also feel like a different element guides you at a different point in your life as you go through sort of natural changes and cycles. This reading is also inspired by some light language work that I have just released that I've been working on actually for some time, but that wasn't quite ready to be released until now. So what it is it's like an elemental activation series where I explore each element using light language healing. And it kind of came to me like a while ago where I was thinking about the four elements and I realized that each element kind of has its own gift and deeply healing emotion attached to it. So I feel with, say, the element of air, it's sort of deeply connected to our nervous system and our fear response in life. And so I kind of used that to structure like a light language healing to help us with fear, phobias, and bringing down the nervous system tension and response, like fight or flight response that we can kind of get stuck in life. So similarly with water, I realized that water really holds the energy of grief and processing really deeply held emotions. And with water, like it can be very easy for the element of water to kind of get stuck in our bodies because grief is such a full-on process. Like it is a really deep process that involves kind of like breaking our hearts in a way to release really deeply stored pain. It usually happens slower than other emotions, right? Fire is kind of like an instant anger response where you get triggered, or fear is kind of an instant response as well. And they're not so buried as I found with the water and the earth energy. So I'll just quickly say water is grief and loss, fire is anger, and earth, I sat with this one and I realized that earth is shame and guilt. So shame and guilt really block us from basically feeling safe in the world and feeling like we are worthy and deserving of what we desire, of what we would like to manifest. It can also deeply undermine our financial situation when we don't feel kind of worthy of having enough because we don't deeply at our core feel like we are enough. So I channeled each of the tapes as like a healing for each of these emotions. And each of these emotions are, I feel, some of the core things that we experience in life. As we go through this earth experience, we will experience all four of these emotions at some point, depending on the phase of our life or depending on what we are kind of, how we are innately wired in our own kind of vessel, in our own being. So the water and the earth energies, like I said, they can be a lot more buried, and light language is really helpful to help us to like unearth things that might be harder to just sort of sit down and be like, oh, I want to feel this feeling from long ago, or I want to deal with this, deeply held belief that I'm not good enough. Things can be buried under so many layers of subconscious programming and imprinting and pain, and it can kind of get really lost within us, but it still kind of has this dominating effect, like ruling over our lives and our results. So these light language tapes are really, really helpful to get to the root of things and help you kind of with surfacing some of those blocks that might be buried really deeply within. So I've already released the fire tape a couple of weeks ago, and many of you have chosen to experience the healing from that one. So I will tell you that if you have already purchased the fire healing, the fire activation, sacred fire activation, there is a coupon code available to you where you can get 75% off for the bundle of all four healings. So the coupon code will be listed in the description box below for those of you who have already bought the fire activation series, the fire activation tape before June 12, 2025. You are eligible for 75% off, like forever. So whenever you want to use the coupon code, it's in the description box. Some of you were emailed already. If you like, I could only email the people who bought it who ticked yes that they were okay with receiving emails. So I wasn't legally able to email anyone else. So I've had to just kind of get the word out through like social media and posts and things like that. So just know that if you have already purchased the fire activation tape, then you are eligible for 75% off for the bundle. And everyone else, the package of all 4 tapes, you get 50% off. So the tapes, all 4 of them, you can buy one individually if you resonate with just one, but you can also buy all 4 for 50% off, okay? And that is my gift to you. I really want you to experience the healing of these. I have listened to them all myself and they actually really work. Like, I know I shouldn't sound surprised, right? Because I'm the one doing this. I'm the one channeling this and I believe in it, but it still kind of like blows my mind a little bit when I receive like the healing from light language, because it really does shift things. It really does make me feel different from when I first start listening to the end. And I literally feel something different. I feel a shift inside, and it can really help, like I've noticed, bring a lightness. Like it brings like this light feeling where things feel cleared and the heaviness is sort of lifted. And you might resonate more with like one than the others. Like for me, I really resonate with the sacred water activation, just for like things I've gone through in my own life. I really feel grief is like one of the key elements that I work with in this lifetime. Like water, grief is an element. But I mean, like water is one of the key elements I work with in this lifetime. It's deeply connected to my ancestry and like the path that I've walked in this life. So yeah, I really resonate with the water one. But equally, kind of all of them have their place, and I really recommend that you check them out. You can click on the links in the description box below and read all about them. You might get kind of a better understanding of each one by reading through the description of each one. And then, like I said, if you want to, you can get all 4 elemental activations for 50% off. And that will be like an ongoing sale. All right, everyone. Thank you for listening. And I'm sending you so much love, and I'll see you for your reading. Hello, group 1. So you chose the wind fairy, thoughts, words, and intellectual analysis. So the element of air. Wow. So you are brilliant. Like you have a brilliant mind. Like you really are incredibly intelligent and incredibly wise. And I feel you have a way with words, or a way with communication, or a way with invention. Some of you, it's about invention and the creative life force that you hold. I feel like you also have a very sensitive nervous system. And I think that this is something that hasn't been an easy thing for you to deal with in life. I mean, I don't think it's easy for anyone, but I think that for your group in particular, this has been kind of more of a struggle than people even around you realize. Like there's something about where you may have carried this burden a little bit alone in life. Like people might not have recognized just how much you were struggling or suffering with anxiety or fear, or just like a burdened nervous system where stimuli might get really overwhelming for you in life. The sensory experience of the world is very detailed for you. So it's like you take in more sensory input than most people. And this is a blessing, but it can also, I think, sometimes feel like a burden, especially if you have been kind of required to fit into kind of a normal or a normie standard of life and living, where it's like, oh, you need to work the 9-to-5 job, or you need to, I don't know, maybe in your education system that you went through, it just like wasn't really a good fit for you. There's something about you being missed in this, and like not really getting your needs met in the way that you really needed to, and kind of having to like suck it up and just show up for life and kind of, I don't know, like bite your tongue and put your fears aside. And I feel like this has like something about your energy. It's like you had to negotiate yourself. Like you had to negotiate your energy and be like, okay, I've got really bad anxiety, but I still have to go to school, or I still have to show up for work or something. And so you kind of learn, I think, to deal with it, but kind of through the energy of force, like where you kind of had to force yourself to be like everyone else, or to have like a nervous system that was normal, even though you didn't have that. You had a really heightened and sensitive nervous system. And for some of you, it could have even been a damaged nervous system in some way, like it wasn't functioning normally. It wasn't kind of serving you in some way, like it was maybe having a trauma response kind of a lot of the time. So your guides and your angels, they want to acknowledge this for you. They want to acknowledge like what you've been through and how it hasn't been an easy path for you. It's been a lot to deal with. But there's something here about something about you going through some kind of alchemy here. You can turn this around and this can become almost your superpower. Well, not almost. This can become a superpower for you. Like your sensitive nervous system can be transformed into something that actually really, really serves you. But it's almost like you need the right environment and you need to stop forcing yourself into a normal kind of like I call it normie because it's kind of like what the collective consciousness believes is normal. But what is normal, right? Just because the collective consciousness believes that certain things are normal doesn't actually make that normal, natural, or necessary, or even right. So I feel like there's a little bit of brainwashing here, a bit of mind control that Spirit's like asking you to kind of separate your mind from the collective consciousness and become your own person in life, because this is going to really help you to basically break free from like times where you're forcing yourself to, I don't know, fit into a workplace that wasn't right for you, or fit into a friendship group that didn't serve you and you didn't like going out to nightclubs and stuff, but everyone in your friendship group was like, you have to do it, come on. And it's sort of like, I just see you time and time again in this pattern of like pushing yourself and really kind of like forcing yourself to show up in a way that people tell you is how you're meant to show up, or people tell you if you do this, you'll be happy, or if you do this, then you'll meet friends or find a partner. Or it's something like that, where it's like you're trying to jump through the hoops of like what people tell you have to do. And Spirit's saying like your genius is in living your own path and walking your own path and breaking free from like societal norms and expectations and truly living outside of that, like living outside the box, thinking outside the box. Like, yeah, you're not just meant to think outside the box, you're meant to live outside the box. You're meant to be super different and eccentric and kind of overcome the fear of being that way, because it's where you're going to find your deepest power. You're going to be like unstoppable when you are able to like truly let go of the collective consciousness of, it's like mind control. Okay, it's like a form of hypnosis, mind control, brain conditioning, classical conditioning that tells us that we have to live a certain way when we don't. And I think that you actually would really suit a very different lifestyle, like a very different kind of way of living in the world. And some of you might already be achieving this or on your way to achieving this. But I feel like some of you maybe need to really identify the pattern that I'm talking about, where you might be trying to force yourself into the status quo and the mundane when really it's not for you. Like that place is not for you, because your genius exists outside of that. And your genius is sort of never going to be recognized in like a conventional workplace. You know, your genius is going to be recognized when you have the freedom to really be yourself, because that's where I see your mind comes alive. Like you're not under all this stress. Say like the workplace example. If you're like in a workplace example and you're feeling stressed and it's draining you so much every day just to be showing up and dealing with all the sensory input and the anxiety and the nervous system drain. And it's like, imagine you in that environment where you're literally just surviving versus you in an environment where you are thriving, like one where maybe you're working from home or you are your own boss or you're somehow self-led, and it gives this freedom for your mind to flow and for these creative like ideas and life force to like really come through you in a big way. There's something about this, like the environment is important, just like the environment for every living being on earth is important. You know, like cats are carnivores. They're not going to thrive if you try to give them a vegan diet, right? You got to give them a carnivore diet, right? There's just like things about you that you're trying to thrive. It's like a cat trying to thrive on a vegan diet when they're a carnivore. It's like, what do you expect? It's not going to feel that good, right? There's just something about this where it's like you need the certain conditions that you need to thrive. And that's just how it is. A fish needs water, right? It's like trying to put a saltwater fish in fresh water and be like, well, you should just be able to swim. And it's like, well, I can't. I need my salt water. And it's like, well, too needy. But yeah, there's something here about maybe you have been given a message from the world like, oh, you're too needy, like your needs are too much, like you're too much. And so it's like you're trying to make yourself small, you're trying to make yourself normal, you're trying to make yourself fit in some way. And it's from a survival like thing, you know, a survival mechanism, like we want to feel belonging in the world, but it's like you never felt belonging in these spaces and places anyway. Even if you looked the part and you walked the walk and you talked the talk, I still feel like you didn't feel belonging there. So I feel like there's something here about you were really different. Your needs might have been really different as a child, and maybe your caregivers didn't quite know like how to give you what you needed, and that made you internalize this thing of like, oh, my needs are too much. I have to silence my needs. I have to try to override my needs. I have to try to force myself into situations that are uncomfortable for me, and I just have to suck it up and deal with it. And that's a pattern that Spirit's like, it's time to break this once and for all. I think many of you are already on your path to breaking these patterns and are experiencing that freedom when you give yourself the space that you actually need to thrive, when you meet your needs in a really basic and fundamental way, and you give yourself the actual opportunity to be free and to thrive. But some of you really need to identify, like, how am I still doing this in my life? How am I still kind of reenacting my childhood in which I'm making myself uncomfortable, for not a good enough reason, basically. For not a good enough reason. Because, yeah, sometimes we have to get uncomfortable, we have to push ourselves. But I'm just seeing that the way that you're doing it, it's not giving you the results that you want. I also see for you, group 1, that your life on earth, like the way you set it up before you incarnated, is that you had the sole intention to overcome fear and phobia in a really big way, like in a bigger way than most people. Like, Spirit really wants to stress this because for you, there's something about like it's kind of bigger for you than others. And for you, it's really about overcoming fear and phobia in a way that most people would think was impossible, but you are actually coded and wired in a way where you can do this. So I feel like there might be things that you might fear. Just to give kind of an example is like maybe you've always feared public speaking and it was something really hard for you and you didn't like doing it and, brought up a lot of fear or anxiety attacks even. And so you might have written it off and been like, I am never public speaking ever. Like, it's just not for me. I'm not doing it. No way. And Spirit's kind of saying, well, you actually have the codes within you to like overcome something that you deeply fear or that you might even call like a phobia, and to overcome it to the point where it doesn't have any hold over you anymore. And I feel that it's actually going to make you feel really, really powerful to go through this kind of alchemy and to overcome something that was such a big phobia for you. And to realize that like your nervous system, the way that it has been is not the way that it will always be. Like, I feel like that's another message Spirit really wants you to know, is like the way that you have experienced your nervous system to be doesn't have to be the way it will always be. Like, you can actually heal it through, many different ways. There's like many different ways you will heal the nervous system. But one of them I'm seeing in particular is about the environment that you place yourself in. Maybe you need a very low sensory environment, where you have a period of time where you're like in a sanctuary of some kind, or you work from home, or you're your own boss, or there's whatever it is for you that like the sensory stuff, like maybe it's going to the supermarket or the grocery store or the markets, it's too much. And it's like, well, maybe you need to get deliveries for a while. And just kind of like actually meet your needs and recognize that when you do that, it's not you being too much. It's actually like gives you the opportunity to thrive and the opportunity for your brilliance to really come online. Because when your nervous system is like constantly bombarded with like too much stress and you're trying to live the normie life and keep up with, all of these expectations, I feel that it's just like so draining you that it kind of blocks your brilliance. It blocks this flow of like, you have a brilliant mind. Like, you are seriously brilliant. As in brilliant meaning like intelligent. Like, you're so intelligent and you have so much wisdom, like such a gift in your mind. Like, you are gifted. And you might have known that your whole life. You might have been like, yeah, I know I'm gifted. Because I feel like something like this, it's sort of hard for you to hide from the world. And I think that you really have seen this in yourself already. Like, you are gifted, and in more than one way. The main thing that seems to be blocking the flow of your gifts into the world is environmental. It's like you need to set yourself up for success and realize like just how black and white it is. Like, you wouldn't, like I was saying, you wouldn't expect a saltwater fish to be able to thrive or even survive in fresh water. And to expect that is kind of, expecting something that can never really happen. It's like, it's just not the right environment for that fish. So it's like, it's not going to survive there, right? And that's the same thing for you. It's like you kind of are trying to put yourself into this environment where you're suffocating, like a fish out of water. They can't breathe. It's like you need to give yourself the time to really breathe, to bring in that breath of life, to restore your nervous system. And look, I'm not saying that's going to be easy, because I feel like with nervous system restoration, it can take a long time. I mean, it doesn't have to, like, you know, I feel like actually that's the theme with your group is like, forget everything you know to be true and start again. Okay, forget everything, all the things you've heard, like, oh, you have to do this, or nervous system healing has to take a long time, or I don't know, you have to do this to be successful in life. It's like, forget it all and write your own story. Okay, forget all of that and be like, wow, be like almost like a scientist, like create your own hypotheses and be like, what would happen if I did this and this, you know, and kind of forget the rest, because you actually operate in an energetic field that is truly outside the vibration of the collective consciousness. And that is where you are meant to be. And that is where your brilliance will truly surface and the world will see it in this lifetime. Like, you are meant to be seen for some kind of brilliance, genius, or creation or invention. Like, you really have the archetype as well of like an inventor, where it's like you could just invent something that the world has never seen before. And the world is like, wow, how on earth did you come up with that? And it's like, well, maybe it took you being a hermit in the woods in order for that to really come through you and your energy field, right? There's something about you are really truly served by breaking away and cutting cords with the collective consciousness. And it might even be cutting cords with also people in your life. Like, I'm getting a real solitude energy for this group as well. And it might not be forever, like it might not be for your whole life, but I just feel like there's a tender point in your sort of destiny path. There's like a tenderness. You need a tenderness, and you need to not have really dominating people that are like, oh, you should just go out and get a normal job, or whatever kind of like ideas that they might try to put into your head. You need a blank slate. You need to give yourself the opportunity for like a real blank slate where it's like nothing yet has been written, and allow yourself to write it. I really feel like you actually are here to do really brilliant and great things, and the level of alchemy that you will have over fear, phobia, and nervous system kind of distress is remarkable. Like, it's remarkable what you are capable of achieving, Group 1, when you overcome these fears and phobias. And because I feel you've had like something very tied in with your destiny is really tied into one of your deepest fears. Okay, it's like one of the same. Okay, like you might have a real fear of being seen by the world, but it's your path to be seen. Or you might have a real fear of being a public speaker, but it's your total destiny path to be a public speaker. Or you might have a real fear of becoming famous, but it's your path to become famous. Or I don't know, something like this, where it's like one of your deepest fears is actually wrapped inside of that is actually your destiny. Okay, and that's something Spirit really wants you to know, because you might have, like I said at the start of your reading, like written it off and been like, oh, well, I'm just never going to public speak because I've always hated it and I'm always afraid of it. But it's like, listen to that deeper voice of like, what if? And that's what I also mean about forget what has already been written, forget the past, forget the stories in your head, forget the collective consciousness kind of fields of disbelief and belief, like what the collective consciousness believes is and is not possible. Forget all of that. And then ask yourself from that blank slate, what do you want? And how do you see yourself contributing to the world? And allow that to be as magical to you as you want, and kind of actually go from there and be like, what is it that you really desire? And when you get really deep, like when you get really quiet with yourself and you get really deep and you think, you know, I really actually would like to be able to public speak, and you let yourself, like, it might start as a whisper. It's like just a little whisper from inside of you of like, I really want this thing. And then let it kind of become louder, and let that be like, okay, well then it is possible for me. Well then I can do this. There's a lot of power in your mind, Group 1. Like, you are powerful. I really, really feel that is coming through so strongly. Like, you are a really, really powerful soul. And because of the way you've experienced fear, anxiety, phobias, and like nervous system distress, I think there have been times in your life where you have forgotten that, or the world around you has like made out like you aren't powerful. They've been like, no, you're not powerful because you can't do this thing like everyone else can. And it's like, yeah, but you're not meant to do the thing like everyone else can do it, because then you'd just be like everyone else. You're meant to be super different, super unique, and kind of living outside of the collective consciousness, because the collective consciousness, it kind of has limiting energies in it, because we can kind of feel like when we live within that field, like we kind of get sucked into what the collective believes is and is not possible. And you're meant to live like completely outside of that. You're not meant to live by the rules of what people tell you is and is not possible. Like really in like really big ways though. In ways that people are like, what? How is this real? What's going on? How is this possible? Like even things like aging, for example, like that, like you're meant to maybe live for a really long time, and people would be like, how is this possible? You're not meant to live past 99 or whatever. And it's amazing if someone can live to 102. It's like, well, you're meant to live like so far outside of that those sorts of ideas of what is and is not possible doesn't actually bother you, and it doesn't actually impact you at all. And that's what I mean about like living in the impossible, the realm of the impossible. Like that is where your genius lies, and that is where you're going to feel the most comfortable and you're going to feel the most at home. You're going to feel like, oh yeah, I found the environment that's right for me. And it's when the environment that is right for you and that you're going to feel the best in is when kind of all of these limitations are taken away. And you're like, I don't have any limitations anymore. I'm just free to like invent and be myself and rethink and reimagine life. Like you are reimagining life, not just for yourself, but for the entire world as well. Like your impact is not just going to be on your own life, but it's meant to be on the entire world's life. Like it's kind of like the archetype of, I don't know, like great thinkers from the history books where people are like, oh, this person realized about gravity, or, you know, these kinds of things. And then it like changes our worldview and we're like, whoa, yeah, true, gravity is a thing. Hey. And it's sort of like that kind of thing when things like, I feel like that archetype of the inventor, it's kind of like been a little bit lost in like modern times because there's always kind of this technological change. But I'm seeing like groundbreaking inventions still like wanting to come through in the field, but it's like we've kind of become I don't know, there's something like where you're going to really like re-spark that kind of creative fuel for the world where it's like, oh yeah, we can think outside the box and like all these things are possible, and we don't have to live by what we have already kind of written the script as being. So that is really your power. And I feel like this is an archetype that you hold like for your life. I feel like as you get older, group one, fear will be less of a burden to you. And spirit really, really wants you to know that, you know, anything you have a real deep fear about, it might even be a phobia about, it isn't meant to be a limitation. It's meant to be an opportunity for growth and expansion. And it's meant to be something that you alchemize and you become through to the other side even stronger because of it. And sometimes when I get messages like they don't fully make sense to me, like this one right now, I don't really know why, but I'm getting that you chose your life to be this way. Like you chose your life to have a phobia about something that you were here to do. So that it's sort of like the public speaking thing. I know it's kind of a bit repeated, but I'm just going to use one that's easy to do because a lot of people fear that, right? Have a phobia about that. And it's like, okay, well, you could have incarnated and just not had a phobia about public speaking and just instantly been really good at it and just gone for it and been like, boom, 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 here I am public speaking, I'm so good at it, and kind of gotten all this praise from the world and been seen as like a remarkable public speaker. But instead you chose to have it as a phobia and to have it really blocked off from you for a long time, and then have it available and go through this alchemy and go through this work to then make it become available. So there's something about that part of your story that spirit wants you to really not see it as a weakness or a flaw or a burden, but instead see it as actually one of your deepest strengths and like a real asset to yourself. And I know it might be hard to see that on this side before the alchemy work has really taken place and you've been transported into this new energy where public speaking is your thing and it's really easy and whatever. But there is something really important here. And I think it's something for you to find out. It's something like that kind of won't make full sense to you. You won't have like the full big picture of it until you've gone through this alchemy, until you're on the other side and you have it available to you. And you're like, here it is. I have it. And then you have the vantage point of looking back at your life and being like, oh yeah, I can actually really see like why I chose to set things up in this sequential kind of way. So I know it might be a bit frustrating right now, but spirit really wants you to like kind of dig deep and recognize there is a reason. There is actually order in this chaos. Like there is a reason for this. And you're going to recognize this kind of with the benefit of hindsight, right? When we look back at our life, we can be like, oh yeah, I could see why, I needed to learn that lesson or I needed to go through that thing. But sometimes when we're going through it, it doesn't make a huge amount of sense to us. So just know there is more meaning coming from what your life experience has been so far and why it's been so hard and why so many things may have felt really blocked off from you and like unavailable to you. And it's like, why would my destiny be something that I'm like not good at? But it's like you are good at it innately. There are just layers of healing that have to kind of happen. And it's almost also, I'll give you another kind of insight. What I'm seeing is like, it's also because it forces you to become into alignment in a really radical way, in a way that a lot of people don't have to do. Like, if you were just like, again, using the public speaking thing, if you were just born a natural public speaker and you were just so good at it and it just became your life path instantly in life, then you might not have been forced to kind of put other areas of your life into alignment first. And that's what I'm seeing is like spirit has a plan for your life. Like you have a big role here and you have to be in perfect alignment for that role so that things don't go crazy or wrong or haywire. And there are certain things where it's like you have to go into alignment. And maybe it's like in order to heal your nervous system, you had to go on a health journey. You had to, heal at the physical level. You had to, I don't know, like change your diet or detox or move into nature or cut off certain relationships that were toxic or, learn how to support yourself financially. Like these kinds of things I'm seeing, for example, like had to be in place like for you to be in alignment to receive your full destiny embodiment. And it kind of like if you were just handed it all at the beginning of your life, like those things would have caused a lot of chaos and haywire and it wouldn't have been the same. Like those things would have had to be sorted out kind of while you were, I don't know, it wouldn't have worked. In fact, I can't even finish that sentence because it wouldn't have been a vibrational match to your role, to your divine destiny. And I see as well, like the fear has really served you because it's forced you to cut cords. That's the other thing I'm seeing. Like you've really had to dig deep and cut a lot of cords, or you will moving forwards in order to heal yourself. And those cords are serving you like to clear them because it's serving you to come into like your full divine role and your full divine embodiment. And you're going to do things that are remarkable and that are super like impossible to the naked eye, I want to say, to like someone not really seeing who's like just caught up in the collective kind of status quo. They'd be like, that's impossible. It's like maybe you're going to live to like 500 and people will be like, that's impossible. You're never going to do that. Okay. And it's like, well, you need to cut all those cords with those kinds of ideas and discover for yourself what is truly possible for you. That's just an example, but look at it however you want to look at it. I'm just trying to think of something that people are like, that is truly impossible. That's never going to happen. And they feel really strongly about it. It's like, well, you're meant to live that out. You're meant to live the impossible and embody it and just live outside of what people think is like even real and really live in a very magical way. Like you have a very strong connection to magic and to the Fae as well. Like I keep seeing you in nature and kind of when you're alone in nature, you're able to more connect in with like the nature spirits around you as well. Okay, group 1, that is your reading. I really hope that it served you. I really enjoyed channeling for you actually. You have a really cool energy. It was really cool to tune in. And I have just released the 4 elements activation series. You chose the element of air, so you might want to go check out the air activation, sacred air activation, light language healing that I just channeled. It would really help you. Seeing as fear, phobias, anxiety, nervous system distress has been a huge part of your life already and is a huge part of your destiny to alchemize it and overcome it. And just also letting you know that you can get all 4 element activation tapes for 50% off if that's something you're interested in. All the information is in the description box below, and I'm sending you so much love. Group number 2. So you are incredibly emotionally intelligent. Like your EQ is off the charts. Like I don't even think you could measure it because it's so deep. And I feel like it's something you've always had, even when you were a little child. Like you might have been a little therapist or counselor for your friends or your family members, your parents even, because you just have this wisdom and it comes from this deep intuitive knowledge that you hold. Like I feel like you know things that you don't even know that you know. I feel like you you just channel like this wisdom from like another realm and it just comes through you. And it's like, you just have this way, group 2, that is so so magical, like with your intuition and with the way that you also work with your own emotions. Like you are probably one of the deepest feelers on earth, like holding this element, because I feel like you hold this water element as a deep part of your soul, and as a deep part of your energetic signature in this lifetime. I feel like you're working with water in this lifetime really deeply. And I think it's something that you have always felt, even when you were very young, because I keep seeing you as a child. I keep seeing you as a child and the intuition that you had as a child, and the way that you felt emotions very, very deeply, and the way that you also were very good at observing other people, and also observing like that there was a contrast between you and certain others, where you might realize like, oh, my brother or sister or my friend or this person in school or my teacher or my parent, they don't feel things the way that I do. And it's kind of like, I feel like you knew that at some deep level. And I think that that might have made you feel sometimes like, is there something wrong with me? Am I damaged in some way? Because emotions would kind of like get to you in a way where it didn't necessarily get to other people. Like other people were more numbed out and able to kind of like water off a duck's back. Whereas it felt like for you, maybe that you took everything in, like no matter what it was, you took it all in. And I think as well, there was, there has been something you're healing as well about your intuition and about recognizing like how spot on your intuition is, to the point where I feel like there was something happened as like a patterning that was imprinted when you were a child, where you might have known things and it was kind of like you were told, no, like, no, that's not true. Like, I remember, for example, when I was a kid, sometimes I would walk past people in a shop or something, and I would get like a really big wave of energy from their aura, and it would come into me, and I would feel this real deep grief or some kind of sadness that they were going through. And I would say to my mom, like I was really young, and I'd say to my mom, "Mommy, like, why is this person so sad?" And it was just some stranger, and my mom would be like, "Oh, they're not sad. What are you talking about? Like, move along." And it was kind of like this insight that I would get, but it wasn't really like validated, I guess, because, whatever, my mom just wasn't having that same experience as me. Like she was like, what are you talking about? They don't seem sad. They seem fine. They're just normal. And it's like, but I could feel the deeper layers that maybe even that person themselves that I was tuning into couldn't even feel. Because with grief and sadness, like I think that there's something that can actually live in our bodies. They can live within us like really heavily. And sometimes we don't even realize that it's there. Yeah. So the other thing is you might have you might have tried to numb this gift of yours a little bit as well, is what I'm getting. Because when I said heaviness, I kind of thought of, sometimes I think that when people like gain weight or something to do with weight, I feel like for some reason, I feel like weight can really express emotions. For example, if someone really struggles to gain weight, it might be like they are really not feeling emotions very deeply, and there's some kind of a block to feeling them. And when someone maybe has excess weight, it might be that they're feeling a lot of feelings, or they're trying to numb out from feeling things. I don't know, there's just something there about weight and feelings. And so maybe there's been some kind of patterning you've had with trying to numb yourself from how sensitive you are emotionally, or how sensitive you are to the world around you. And I'm not saying you did it necessarily consciously, but more subconsciously. And I think that as well, like the environment that you were in as a child, like what I'm seeing is like you really needed more. You really needed more. And so you kind of had more help with this sensitivity that you have, because like you were a psychic little kid. And it's like, I think that the world around you felt very overwhelming and daunting at times because of how much you were feeling. And I think that there was some kind of patterning here that made you feel like, oh, being this sensitive like isn't safe for me, or feeling this many feelings is overwhelming for me, or something like this. And it kind of there's some kind of healing that you're going through like at the moment in reclaiming your sensitivity and reclaiming your strength, and realizing like you actually are capable of feeling your feelings fully and healing whatever it is that comes up, and that they will not break you. Yeah, there's something here because you feel things deeper than most people. Like you genuinely, objectively do. Like there's a deeper feeling that you have. And maybe you were told you were a drama queen, or that you were too much, or like, oh, you're such a drama queen, it's not even a big deal. And for you, it's like, no, but this is how my feelings are. This is how I'm literally feeling right now. So there's something here about, like some kind of pain around this gift that has maybe made it feel like not a gift sometimes. But it is your gift. It really is. And I think that like recently I'm seeing you've been going through something where you actually have been healing the ability to feel your feelings fully. So it's like maybe you've been letting go of numbing behaviors or substance use or eating or overeating or undereating or something like this because there's been more coming through your field. I'm seeing spirit showing me, like your guides are showing me, like more has been flowing through your field. There's been more flow in your energy field, and there's been less of you kind of feeling like you need to control that flow and being like, no, this flow needs to stop, or it's too much, or whatever. And there's been a real beauty, like a dance, like I'm seeing a rhythm now flowing, like it's starting to flow into a rhythm that you're going to find your own rhythm in life. And it's something that you're reclaiming that you didn't have the opportunity to have as a child, like a really sacred rhythm with your own energy field and with your own feelings, kind of like a dance with life, a dance with the water element, a dance with the element of water. Whew. And I feel like there's almost emotion in saying this because it's something that you really needed as a child. Like you needed to kind of let these feelings flow through you and to kind of learn about how to find your own rhythm in life. And now you're doing that. And now you're reclaiming your power fully. Like you're reclaiming such a deep power and really reclaiming, I feel like, especially your intuition and stopping second guessing yourself or thinking, oh no, I must just be making this up. Because I feel like that's something that was imprinted onto you by those around you that just weren't having the same intuitive experience as you. So they couldn't mirror to you your experience. They couldn't validate you for your experience because they weren't having that experience. So that's something that I feel is actually clearing for you right now. And you're moving into a time where you're going to really be like, something's picking up its pace and you're going to really be feeling more flow. Like I feel like it starts out as a trickle, but then I'm seeing a waterfall. And this becomes such a powerful thing for you in your life, like this water element that you hold, this ability to flow with emotions deeply, to have such a deep emotional intelligence and to have such real deep intuition about things in life and real good like energy reading on somebody. Like you can read somebody without knowing maybe hardly anything about them, just seeing them, you get so much information and things that people are like, wait, how did you pick that up? Or you observe things that people wouldn't have thought that you could see. It's like, how did you know that? It's like, oh, well, I just observed this very subtle, I don't know, body language, and I could tell that it was about this. And you just have this gift, and for whatever reasons, like in your own life, it hasn't always felt like a gift, but you're really reclaiming this as your gift. And what it's going to do with the waterfall is I'm seeing it's going to shift your life a lot. Like having this rearrange inside of you so that this water element can flow within you in a really powerful way, like it's going to change your life a lot because it's going to turn into a waterfall. And waterfalls for me is about effortless manifestation and abundance in all areas of life. Abundance is more than money, but it also talks about money. So I'm seeing this, you're entering a waterfall era, okay? You're entering a waterfall era, and it's kind of like who you've always been is actually finally able to break free. And I'm feeling relief. You know, like, when you get into like a warm bath and you feel relaxed, or if you like dive into the ocean on a hot day and it's like your energy field just instantly shifts and you feel all cleared, your aura is cleansed, it feels so good. It's just like there's something about this where it's going to feel so good to you because you're embodying your true self. Yeah, you also really work really, really strongly with the element of water, like oceans, rivers, creeks, even showering, bathing in any way, rain, like water, the element of water loves you and you love it. There's like a beautiful relationship that you have with the element of water. And I feel like it's one of your deepest guides in this lifetime. Like you are being guided by the element of water in this lifetime. Okay, so let's also talk about the element of water is connected to the emotion of grief and loss. So I feel like this is something that even before you went through your story in this lifetime, you incarnated with grief in your energy field, okay? Even before you started to walk your path in life, and I'm seeing that you have experienced grief in your life, you have experienced loss, and it comes in many different forms, but I'm just going to sort of say that I can feel it there in your path, in your story. But even before that, I see you incarnated into an ancestral line where grief was passed down and grief was not felt or processed in the bodies. Okay, it wasn't processed in the body. I think I'm seeing something especially to do with your maternal lineage as well, but it doesn't, it's both. It's both. Look, I say maternal, but it's both. But there's something very specifically about when you were in the womb of your mother, like the grief, there was grief in her body. There was grief circulating in her body that hadn't been processed and released. And with grief, like when I've really meditated on grief, I feel it's not something that is easy to feel because it's such a painful thing. It really is released in stages. And, it's deep, okay? Like there's a deep it has to kind of come out slowly because otherwise I feel like it would break us as human beings because it's such a painful, heartbreaking energy. So there's something here about, though, you kind of had almost like a burden of grief as a very, very young child, and you might not have known, like, where does this come from? And I feel like that also played into where you felt very sensitive, and people might have been like, why are you always you're a crybaby, or you're so sensitive, or I don't know, something about this where it's like you actually had the emotions of your ancestors within you. And like I said, I did feel something to do with the maternal line, but it's also, I'm seeing the paternal line as well. It's on both sides, as is, kind of, I mean, it's kind of understandable because if you think about the kind of life that Earth Earth provides for people, there's a lot of tragedy and loss and moments of grief that people experience. And like I said, grief is not an easy thing to feel. And you are an expert emotional healer and feeler. Like you're an expert at feeling things and healing them. And even for you, this level of grief has been challenging. So it's not a surprise that your ancestors or your family members really struggled with feeling this level of grief. But it's something that you will completely heal in your life, and you have been working on it. But it's something that, like, spirit kind of wants you to understand that it was already with you when you incarnated. And something as well, I want to keep going back to the mother and to when you were in the womb of your mother, and sort of like you were absorbing some kind of energy that she had, and maybe your mother like lost her mother, or she lost a child, or had miscarriages or something. There's some like really deep grief that she had in her body, in her being, like when you were in her womb. And I feel you really took this in, and it's something that has stayed with you in life, and that you kind of are here to heal your lineage. Like there's a deep ancestral healing, I feel, for this group that you have taken on at a really deep level, and you're healing for your lineage. So spirit really wants you to know that some of the grief in a way isn't yours. Like it's connected to those who have lived before you. And something about needing to understand that, because it really helps to heal and process things and to release it, not only from your own like vessel, from your own body, but also for your ancestral line in particular. So I think that you will have real specific kind of times where you're releasing emotion, and it's actually not just yours, it's your ancestry. Like it's part of your ancestry, and there might be stories connected to it, or there might not be. It doesn't have to have stories connected, but you are really deeply intuitive. So trust if you find that you are like, oh, I feel this grief that I'm feeling today is really connected to my great grandmother, and there's all these signs and synchronicities I've been seeing her around, and then trust that, because you really need to trust your intuition like fully, because you are super, super intuitive, you're super emotionally intelligent, you're really good at feeling, and you're really good at healing, okay? And you can overcome kind of this like burden feeling that you've had of having grief in your vessel, because like I was saying before, the emotions, like especially grief, when it is buried inside, it can feel quite heavy. It can feel quite heavy. And for some of you, it might have like manifested through like maybe even carrying like a bit of excess weight or something, and kind of not feeling comfortable in that, or just any experience of like not feeling very comfortable in the body in some way. And it's because of this deeply like held emotion that's actually symbolizing for you. Okay, so I'm going to pull a couple of cards to see, like, spirit, what do you actually want group 2 to know? We have the Spider, creative projects. Oh, okay. And we have the Merlin, alchemy, justice, and balance. Yeah, so you are a really incredible healer. Okay, that's this alchemy energy. Like, I feel that you're meant to channel your emotions, you're meant to channel your intuition into some kind of creative project. And it could be really big. Like I could see your energy being really, really big. And like that's the waterfall energy I was saying. It's like there's an effortlessness that's going to come into play in your life, because it's actually your natural expression of your energy. Like imagine water. Water is kind of effortless in the way it flows. Like you don't feel like an ocean, right? When the waves are crashing on the shore, you're not thinking like, oh, this ocean's really struggling to make waves, is it? or the flow of a waterfall. It's effortless, it's just moving, or the flow of a river. There's a movement to it that kind of just flows with an energy of itself. And it's such a beautiful kind of thing. And that is the energy that you hold. Like, you hold this effortlessness where you are meant to get into your flow state, get into your right energy, and everything flows from that place. And it's very divine feminine, and it's not meant to come from like heaps of force or effort or exertion. It's really meant to flow really effortlessly, really abundantly, really naturally. And that's this next phase of your life I'm seeing, where you're turning into a waterfall. Okay, it's starting out as a trickle, but it's going to flow into a huge waterfall that has so much energy and electricity. Like, there's something like electrical about this water. It's such a powerful energy, and it has so much life force. And your manifestation is meant to be effortless. Like, yes, when you get into a creative flow state and you're just like creating something and it feels so good and it feels so effortless because you're just in that like point of divine alignment where everything feels perfect and it feels good. And you're like, yeah, I love creating. I love this. That's your superpower, and that's what you're here to do in the world. And it's something that may have been blocked off from you, like with the heaviness, because I feel feel it in your body as heaviness. Like, there's some kind of thing where you felt heavy, or you felt restricted. You felt like things have been heavy and you've been weighed under by some kind of resistance or burden or something in your life. And that's why the Merlin card is here, because you are a master alchemist. That's what emotional healing is. It's alchemy. We're turning one energy into another. We're moving from grief into joy, right? And that's kind of like the trajectory of your life. Is like, you're here to alchemize, you're here to heal. You might be here to do this for others or teach others about this, but your whole life is going to be kind of like teaching others, because you are the embodiment of this alchemy work. And it's something that you incarnated with a big burden. Yeah, I feel a big burden when you incarnated. Like I said, there's grief, there's loss in your bloodlines. And it's something that you really took on in your body. And you're going to do a lot of ancestral healing in this life. And it's going to free not only yourself, but your lineage. And it's going to free your DNA as well to express itself in the original divine blueprint that you're here to express. Because when we have these things, like, it's almost like it's like epigenetics. Like, it creates a distortion in the way that we express ourselves and even the way we look with our appearance and things like this. So I see like complete healing available to you in this lifetime. And I feel like this is kind of your path. Like, you are a really master healer. And I feel like Spirit's saying that anything that you, like, the main sort of message that Spirit wants to convey to you is like, you are strong. You are strong enough to overcome this. You are strong enough to alchemize this. You are strong enough to get through whatever it is that you have to get through in order to get to this point of effortlessness. And I don't see it being very far away. I feel like you've already worked for a long time in this life on this alchemy, on this healing, and you've done a lot of ancestral healing and things like this. And I see it being really close, this point of this waterfall where it flows in your life and you have abundance in all areas and you're one with the element of water, because the element of water loves you so much. Like, you are so interconnected with the element of water. Like, you guys are tight. Like, there's a beautiful bond that you share with the element of water, and I feel like it's your teacher in this life, and in a way you're teaching it too. Like, there's a beautiful kind of connection that you have. So your creativity is such a superpower, and I feel like Spirit's really saying that things in your life can be effortless. That's the other message coming through. Like, just like when you get into flow state, like, flow state is your currency. Like, you are meant to live in flow state because you are the element of water. That's what you're here to be. And flow state should be like mandatory for you. That's what I'm feeling. So your creativity is your life. Like, whatever it is that you feel gets you into that place of flow state where you feel like you're in divine alignment, that is what you are here to do. And I feel like you're here to kind of share this with the world in a big way and really feel really deeply abundant and fulfilled by it. And you're meant to have a very emotionally fulfilling life as well. Now I'm seeing, like, in the future, I'm seeing this emotional fulfillment. And when we think about the tarot cards, like, because I love sort of tuning in with the energy archetypes of the tarot. So the tarot, the element of water, it goes from the Ace of Cups to the 10 of Cups, right? And then of course there's the suit cards with like the Queen and the King and stuff. But if you think about the journey from the Ace of Cups to the 10 of Cups, it's like a really, really interesting sort of journey. But right at the end, I'm seeing the 10 of Cups for you, right? It's like you've been through this full journey from Ace to 10. You've been through all of that emotional healing, like the 5 of Cups, the 6 of Cups. There's so many different things that need to be healed within that journey from Ace to 10. And that's been your life path. That's been your trajectory. But right at the end is the 10 of Cups, where it's like ultimate divine fulfillment, ultimate emotional fulfillment, where you live in a real utopian kind of energy and you feel really connected to the divine. And it's like your cup is overflowing, like your emotions are so good. It feels so good to be in your body and to feel things. And that's the gift of your life, is that all of this emotional work, all of this healing work that you've done, it's not for nothing. It's because you're heading towards divine fulfillment, that 10 of Cups kind of utopian energy. And it's something that you're going to share with those that you love as well. Like, I feel you really feeling surrounded by love and having so much love in your life and having a deep love for life and for the process. Like, I feel like you really deeply understand Earth and like the emotions of Earth in a way that most people really just skim over in their life. Like, you understand it at such a deep level and you have so much wisdom to convey, but whether that's through your creative projects or through your words, through your wisdom in some way. Yeah, you just are a channeler, you're a healer, you're a guide. You're amazing, group 2, all right? You really are. All right, so that's all we have time for your healing. But for your healing, ooh, wow, I hope it was healing for you, for your reading. And if you would like to check out the Sacred Water activation I just channeled, I really feel like it would serve you. I love that one. It's my favorite one, actually. I'm going to be working with it in my own life because I really resonate with the energy of water and grief and things like this. So I feel like, check it out. And if you would like to, you can get all 4 of the elemental activation series, all 4 of the fire, earth, air, and water for 50% off. If you're interested, all the links are in the description box below, and I'm sending you so much love. Hello, group 3, and welcome to your reading. So you chose the element of fire. Now, I feel like you have always had some kind of a fire element within you. Like, you've always had sort of this magnetism, this fiery light within you. Like, you've had more energy maybe than the average person, a lot of life force, a strong connection to fun, joyfulness, play. You have at your heart a very wild kind of free spirit that does not want to be contained or tamed, and that kind of is very adventurous and wants to take risks and live life on your own terms. However, I do feel like there's something here healing for you within the element of fire. Like, you are learning how to utilize the element of fire within your vessel more. And I feel like for a lot of you, this is looking like something to do with confidence, like really gaining your confidence to be your own unique, authentic self, especially something to do with embodiment and like sexuality and sensuality, like being okay with your sexual self and kind of being okay with your magnetism and your attractiveness, and kind of learning how to embody that and accept yourself for the unique like person that you are, and kind of realize that anything that you might feel like are flaws also kind of make you more lovable to the people around you. Like, there's something about you where it's like you're learning how to really be loved and adored for who you are. Because I just feel like so much love around you. Like, people really love you, group 3. They really can also fall in love with you very easily. And there's just something about your energy that it just evokes this heartfelt response from people where they're like, oh my gosh, I love you so much. You're so lovable to people. And I feel like there's some kind of like mismatch between the way that you see yourself and the way that the world sees you. And I see that really healing. And I feel like you're meant to be very adventurous and like sure of yourself. Like, there's a confidence that you exude that comes from deep within yourself, but you're still kind of building a relationship with this part of yourself. There's still some kind of like healing processing that I'm feeling to do with this fiery element that you hold. I'm hearing from spirit to let the fun guide you in life. Like, let yourself be guided by fun and by the things that you truly want to do. I'm kind of getting like almost a distractibility energy within you. Like, maybe you get distracted at many things, or you have a lot of things going at once. Like, you have a lot of creative energy and you're kind of like juggling a lot of things, or you want to take on a lot. You want to have lots of experiences. You're like, yes, I want to say yes to everything in life. And I feel like that's actually how you're meant to be, but you're also, I think, still learning how to wield this immense amount of life force energy that you have. Like, you have a lot of life force available to you, or you're meant to have a lot of life force available to you. And you're kind of meant to be like going and like nonstop. Like, there's something about your group. Like, I feel like you actually need less rest than the average. Like, people say you need 8 hours. Some people need more, some people need less. But I feel like you need less, and that's how you're meant to be. Or at least that's how you're meant to be when this element is working within you and when you're fully kind of like engulfed in this fiery energy that you have within you. It's like you're meant to kind of be this creative life force in the world where it's like you're unstoppable and you can just go from like one adventure to another and kind of somehow operate like without needing as much sleep or rest or downtime. Like, I feel like your soul in this lifetime is really working with the energy of fire because you want to experience as much as you can. Like literally as much as you can. I feel like that's your goal. And maybe there's been frustration or anger if you haven't been able to do that, if you felt held back in certain ways, because we are in duality. So it's like not surprising that you would have experienced, aspects of your life where you were actually held back from this innate energy that you have. Or even like, we just recently had the Sagittarius full moon, right? Which is a fire sign. And one of the energies that I really felt strongly during this moon was actually this energy of freedom, but like the need for freedom within the soul, within the vessel, within the body, within the mind, within life. Like we need freedom. And when we have areas in our life where we feel held back, it can really make us feel this like frustrating kind of tension of like, I want to break free. And that's what I really felt was like sort of the energy that this Sagittarius full moon was showing us as a collective is like, where do we want to break free from life? And like, where do we feel that tension, that almost that anger of like, I want to be free. Like I want to expand. I want to keep experiencing more and more. And so I see for your group, like maybe you had something in life where you felt kind of held back in some ways. Like, for example, like, someone breaks their leg or something and then they have to rest for, several months and they have to have their leg in a cast and they can't exercise and they can't do all these things that they want to do. It's like that kind of energy you've had somehow play out in your life in a big or a little way. And it feels like this sort of culmination of frustration where you're like, I want to be free already. And you as a soul as well, like you have such a fiery, light-filled energy. You're so kind of like high vibrational that even just being on earth in itself might have felt a little bit restrictive, well, not a little bit, a lot restrictive and frustrating because of like the way that the consciousness kind of comes into the physical vessel. We're in duality, there are a lot of restrictions placed upon us, and like things like this we have to move through and have patience and stuff. I feel like, there's something about like your energy has almost wrestled with this realm where you're like, I want to break free. And I feel like in a lot of ways you will and you can. And spirit kind of wants you to know that that's available to you, because I feel this, again, this tension, this underlying tension, like kind of the way I was describing the Sagittarius full moon, where it's like there are ways in your life where you're like, I want to be more free, or I want to be more wild, or I want to be able to take more risks, or I want to have more experience. It's sort of this energy of more. I just want more and I want to keep expanding and keep experiencing. Like I feel this endless curiosity energy in you where it's like everything looks exciting, everything looks good, and you actually are really multi-talented and you could achieve like many, many things. Like you could have many sort of lifetimes within a lifetime and maybe have different careers and mix it up a lot and have different hobbies and goals and a lot of travel or a lot of different relationships. Like I just see you're meant to experience a lot, like a lot. And like I said, you just have more energy than the average person, and that's how you're meant to be. And you might have felt really frustrated if your energy levels weren't available to you, or if you were forced into periods of rest and things like this. Because I just see how you're like, when you're in your element, fire, right? When you're in your element, you have just this kind of like endless energy and optimism and joy for life. Like you're like, you're so hungry for the experiences of life, and you just kind of want to go for it and adventure. Like life is an adventure, and you really inspire people as well to live this kind of way and to expand in ways that they may not be expanding in. Like I think people, when they spend time around you, they start to realize like, wow, I'm really holding myself back in life, or I'm really playing it safe or playing it small, because you just have this impact on people, because you have this, like, it's not that you do anything to make someone feel uncomfortable or insecure. Like it's more the opposite of that, where you seem very comfortable and secure in who you are and in what it is that you desire for life. Like you feel very secure in that. You're like, I know what I want. I'm going for it. This is what I'm doing. And you live life 110% in that direction. And so by contrast, I feel like people around you feel like you shine a light actually as well. You shine a very bright light, like a spotlight into people's lives, and they realize like, I'm really unhappy in my relationship or in my job or, in my identity in some way. Like I'm not expressing my true self, or I'm not speaking up in the way I want to. Or you really help people through inspiring them. And in a way, it's almost like a challenging energy. Like you almost challenge people a little bit. Like not on purpose, like it's very effortless and gentle and natural the way that you do it, but you kind of challenge people because people are like, wow, like you're very inspiring. Like I want to live with that much passion. I want to live with that much, I don't know, like raw power. Like you just bring so much fuel to your life. Like you just seem to have this endless fuel for your life, for your passions, for your purpose. And you're very, very persistent as well. You never give up. And I think people really, really resonate with that. And they really feel like they get energy from that. Like they feel energy from your optimism and your hope. Like you seem to have an endless optimism and hope for life and a joy for life as well. So as I'm speaking, I'm feeling a tightness in my throat chakra, however. So I feel like there's something that you're still working towards around, like something, again, I keep getting that energy of restriction where it's like, I feel like you've had inevitably, right? We're in duality. You've inevitably had something that you felt restricted by. Maybe it's a physical health concern. Maybe it's about really letting yourself be a truly adventurous, risk-taking being. Maybe it's about your authentic self-expression, because I feel it in my throat. It feels something about maybe really being authentic and really putting yourself out there and really being bold and courageous. And you might even be already doing it in your life, like, because I feel like you're kind of an impatient energy in a good way, like as in where you're like, let's just get started, let's just go for it. Even if you don't have a plan, you're like, let's just go experience life. And you kind of learn a lot through the experience of things, which is totally your style, and it works really well for you. Like you're meant to kind of just dive into things and then figure it out later. As much as that may have, like, you know, you've learned a lot of lessons doing it that way, but I just feel like it's, you know, you're not meant to like sit back and really plan and really think about it and really be in your head and really analyze. No, you're meant to just embody. You're meant to just be like, I'm just going to learn through doing it and see like, yeah, I like this or I don't like this, or just dive into a relationship and be like, you know what, they're not for me, or they are, or whatever. Just like experience life. You're just meant to experience and embody life. But yeah, there is something still, I think, held back a little bit in your self-expression, because what does it say? It says creative action and optimism. Yeah, you're definitely very optimism. You're very optimistic. And also funny. Like, I feel like you really light people up. Like, they feel good being around you. They're like, oh, I feel better. I feel happier. I feel like life is funnier. You know, I can see the lighter side of life. I can see the funny side of the situation. And I think that laughter is like one of your greatest medicines, actually. Like you might be a real jokester as well, or a trickster energy. You really make people laugh and they really enjoy being around you for that reason. But yeah, so this card is number 30, which is number 3 in numerology, and you are group number 3. So 3 is the energy of the Empress in the Major Arcana, and then you got creative action. So there's a real creativity in you and like a fertility in you. Like it's kind of like with fire, right? When you know how like fires can get out of hand. Like if you light a fire, like it can turn into something really big, or it can kind of like take off in a way that's like unpredictable and hard to control. And I feel like that's actually how your creative energy is meant to be. Like it's meant to be kind of like fire, in that you're not meant to really control it. You're just meant to channel it as best you can and then kind of get out of the way. It's a really powerful, powerful energy. And I think you're still learning something about your creative self-expression, or something to do with your creativity, especially like something to do with the throat, like creative energy through what you channel in the world, or your creative art. Something about your creativity, your voice is still kind of coming into form, and it's gaining momentum. Though Spirit wants you to know, like, it's gaining momentum, it's building up. And it is sort of something that you can't control, okay? Your creative energy, your creative life force, it's not meant to be controlled. It's meant to be experienced, witnessed, and embodied. And it's kind of got a life force of its own. And once you release your work in the world, or your voice, or your art, or your project, or whatever it might look like, it's kind of just meant to take off like wildfire, okay? It's meant to just go, and not in a negative way, but in a positive way. Like, it's meant to just go and kind of like change the world, you know, just like how fire will change a landscape, right? It will burn through things and it will, you know, make space for new life. I feel like you have sort of this desire within you to like bring a new life to the earth. Like you want to bring new life to the earth. And in a way that is like alchemy, you kind of are meant to destroy in order to create. Like you need to kind of allow things to burn down and burn through so that you can create a new life for yourself. And that might have been a theme in your life. You might have been really touched by the energy of the phoenix in your life, that kind of energy of rebirth through fire. Transformation is a really strong theme for you in your life. And you are really unstoppable in your ability to transform, group 3. Like you really need to know that. And the 3 energy again, your fertility, like the ability for you to be reborn, is unmatched. Like it's seriously incredible. Like it's so powerful. It's amazing. It's honestly, it's awe-inspiring. Like it really is. I'm just seeing your light, and it's like, wow, it's just so incredible. And I think that in that way, you're meant to actually be kind of in the spotlight, like in some form. You're meant to be like seen by others in this gift, and you're meant to kind of go through many emanations of your soul's light and your soul's expression in the world. Like, you're going to express yourself in many ways. It might look like having a really varied career, or having many different gifts and talents that you express yourself through, or having many varied relationships, or living in many different parts of the world. There's something like just really transformative about who you are as a soul and how you're here to express yourself. So Spirit's saying as well, like, don't be afraid to let go at times in your life, even if it feels like hard, because being burnt through fire is not easy, right? I'm not saying having this gift is an easy thing, but you do have this remarkable way of being reborn and having that newness where it's like new life can come through you so easily in a way that's, so many people don't have that because they just have different energy signature, right? So having this fire as your energy signature is actually such a gift and a blessing, because you have this renewal energy that is unmatched, and you can be reborn just like the phoenix time and time again. No matter what you've been through, you can be reborn from it and through it. Okay, so let's pull a couple cards for you, group 3. See what does Spirit want you to know? What does Spirit want you to know? High Priestess. Wow, you're amazing. Discernment, prescience, prophecy, and vision. Wow. All right, let's get one more. Communication. Yeah, and right, I was feeling my throat chakra. I was feeling my throat chakra. There is something in your throat chakra. And so throat chakra is like communication. It's writing, it's words, it's our voice, it's singing, it's sound, it's healing through sound, through voice. It's also channeling information. And I feel like, okay, so with the High Priestess and the communication, I feel like channeling, like you are a channel. You have psychic gifts, you have psychic abilities that you are here to share with the world, and through whatever form that takes, like apply it wherever it needs to be applied. But it could take many forms for you, being a fire energy. It could be through many different forms, actually. And they might change over time as you grow and as you learn and as you evolve and as you desire more from life and as you desire more adventure from life. Like, you are such an adventurous soul. You're not going to be satisfied, like, living in one place your whole life or staying in a job your whole life. Like, you need variation. You need creative renewal. And that looks like coming from the inside first, but then it also manifests out in your external reality, where things will naturally just need to change around you as well. And you might have even criticized yourself for this nature before, like maybe like, why can't I just live in one place? Or why do I always move around? Or why do I, get bored so easily at a job or something? And it's like, that's just who you are. Like, I feel like Spirit's kind of saying to embrace who you are, and that's going to help you with your authenticity and your authentic self-expression. Some of you might actually like resonate with having like ADHD or something, and kind of maybe feeling hard on yourself about that. And you don't have to have ADHD or resonate with that, but it's that kind of energy where it's like there's a lot of creative like genius. Like, I find people with ADHD, like they are creative geniuses. Like, they all are. Like, I don't think I've met anyone with that doesn't have some kind of like insane genius in them or some amazing creativity. So there's just something about where like you're kind of wired a little bit differently, is like how I would put it, I guess. You're just wired a little bit differently, and it might be a little bit chaotic, or you might like not be that good at, cooking and cleaning, but you're really good at all these other things, or there's something like that where it's like you might have been, I feel like there's some kind of criticism that Spirit wants you to let go of and recognize like you're so incredible for who you are, and you're so lovable for who you are. And anything that you feel like is not good about yourself, like it actually makes you more lovable, which is what I said at the beginning of your reading. Like, it actually does. Like, it makes you more endearing and more lovable. So there's something about letting go of the inner critic and just like accepting yourself for who you are, all of you, because you're just so lovable and loved and already adored. So it's like, accept yourself for who you are, because I feel like there's some great work that wants to come through your throat chakra in this lifetime. It's come through your voice, because I feel it. I already feel it. And I feel this block and this resistance, and then it's coming back again to that Sagittarius full moon where it's like, oh, I feel a resistance. There's a tightening, there's a lack of freedom in your throat chakra, and it wants to be free. It wants to be free to express itself. And I feel like part of it could actually be a fear of criticism, or a fear of like ramifications of some kind. from your true authentic self, or just like getting messages, like I said, of like maybe feeling not good enough or feeling like, oh, I'm not very good at this thing, and kind of being really hard on yourself, like a criticism of yourself in some way, a perfectionism maybe as well. So there's some kind of alchemy work here, like the fire is helping you to kind of be reborn with your throat chakra and to really let go of anything that's like limiting you in your creative self-expression, so that you can just be who you are and channel something. Because with the high priestess, that's like really incredible, clairvoyance, clairsentience, claircognizance, clairaudience, like all of the clairs. It's about channeling information, channeling like wisdom from spirit, channeling sound. For some of you, it's your voice, your singing, channeling light language, channeling whatever it is. Like, you are a channel for the divine. And there is a few things that are blocking your channel, and it's going to be, the way that you overcome it is that you burn it through like fire. You're meant to burn through those blocks like fire and have the renewal of like a rebirth afterwards, like the phoenix. You are really touched by the archetype of the phoenix in this lifetime, and really sit with that if you desire to. Like, I think you could really meditate on the energy of the phoenix and understand like, how has it touched your life? How is it like part of you in a way? And I think you've just gone through like many kind of cycles of growth where you've had to kind of let go of a lot of things. Like, I feel like you know about letting go really deeply, and you've had to maybe let go of more than what anyone else would think is reasonable. And you're like fearless in the way that you do it. And you have this deep intuition that guides you, where you're like, no, I know that I have to let go of this thing, or I know I need to move on now, or I know I need to change location or change jobs or change careers or whatever. And you have this fearlessness where so many people are afraid of change, but instead, like, you are one with change. Like, I feel like you let change in really deeply, and you know that it's like part of the medicine of who you are as a soul. Like, you need change. It's part of your medicine. It helps you really deeply. So I feel that the fire element is working with you mostly right now with your throat chakra, and it's helping you to clear out some blocks you have to being your truest authentic self in the world, letting yourself be loved and adored by the world, and like sharing who you really are. Really, really authentic creativity and self-expression. And also, like, making a mark is what I'm feeling. Like, you're meant to kind of have an impact. Like I said, like, you're very inspiring. Like, I feel really inspired tuning into your energy. Like, you are an inspiration. I feel like you're meant to have an impact on the world by sharing yourself, and let yourself be inspiring, and let yourself kind of activate people through your light, through your creative genius. Like, you are just meant to be out there, and whatever kind of alchemy that you need to do with your throat to let that genius out of you, like, it's already happening, it's already underway. And I think that the best thing is just to keep surrendering to the phoenix. Keep surrendering to the phoenix energy, to the energy of being renewed through fire, and just keep going with that. I think one of your superpowers is that you just never give up. You're like super persistent, and you just never give up. You're like, I'm not giving up. And that is truly one of your gifts, because it means that you will succeed. When we give up, we stop ourselves from achieving something. Like, it's kind of like self-sabotage. So maybe be careful of self-sabotage as well, because if you do have it, it's coming from a trauma response, like somewhere buried in your throat chakra. Because I can feel this throat chakra, it's like a burden. It's like kind of almost hard to get through your reading, and it wasn't present for the other elements so far. So it's like there is this extra burden that you're carrying in your throat chakra that's meant to be burnt through and free yourself. Like, you are meant to be free, to be authentic, to be honest with the world. Like, it's also about honesty. Like, authenticity is kind of linked in with honesty. It's like you're meant to be honest and have really vulnerable relationships and share deeply like who you are, and let yourself be like really deeply loved for who you are. So, okay, group number 3, that is your reading. You're an incredible person. It's so lovely to tune in with your energy. Like, you really do brighten anyone's day that you come across. So I really feel like there's quite a few light language tapes that I would recommend for you. Like, the one that I just released is the 4 elements. So there's like a package you can get for 50% off, where you get all 4 elements. You might really resonate with that for 50% off. Or you could just get the fire element, because you are working with this sacred fire. But I also felt the throat chakra really strongly in your reading, and I do have a throat chakra healing specifically on my store. And I really feel like that one in particular would super serve you like really deeply as you're going through this kind of, finding really deeply your authentic voice and your authentic self-expression in the world. So all the links for my store and my work will be linked in the description box below if you want to check it out. And I'm sending you so much love. Hello, group 4. So I'm actually starting your reading at 5:55 p.m., which feels very significant. I love it when the readings like start with this sort of energy. So you're a really magical being. Like, that's the first energy that I get as you are. So you chose the Earth Fairy, the physical health, grounding, and foundations card. So the first thing I'm getting is like magic. So it's like you're really connected into the magic of the earth, especially, and to the magic of any realm that you embody and you go into. You're really, really magical. And I feel like there's something about you have like really deep psychic abilities and gifts, but I feel like you don't always trust your abilities, or you don't trust like how wise you are or how capable you are or something like this. So with the earth energy, like the shadow energy that I was channeling in that light language series that I just channeled for the sacred element activation series, it was around guilt and shame. So guilt and shame like is something that is really buried deeply within us, and like we don't often really know that we're experiencing it, or like it's not something that you really like, especially with shame. It's the lowest frequency emotion, and every single person on earth experiences it in some way, but we often don't really realize that we're experiencing it. So I feel like there's something here about like some deeply held, like you're working at the deepest levels in this life. Like that's what I would say is like you're working at the deepest levels in this life, and you need to overcome a belief about yourself that you're not good enough, because you are. And it creates like an illusion where you don't receive as much as you deserve. And you might even have like some frustrating things happen, especially maybe it shows up through money because you chose the physical health, grounding, foundations energy, right? Where it's like maybe you can make money sometimes, but then other times it's like you somehow have things happen where it's like really unfair, and all of a sudden like I don't know, you somehow lost money, or there's something like this where it's like you don't mean for it to manifest, like it's manifesting at a deeply subconscious level, and you're kind of like, why does this thing keep showing up, or why do I keep losing money when I'm like meant to be making money right now? Or there's something like that where the way that things might manifest for you and like show up for you to reveal what's going on in your subconscious, it's almost like it's happening outside of your control and you don't really notice it. You're like, how did this thing happen? Or how did I suddenly like, lose this money within this sale that I made? Or I don't know, something like that. And it might be really frustrating because you might feel like, oh, I don't know how to put my finger on this. I don't know how to like find where this is coming from because it just seems to come out of nowhere. Or I don't know, like I haven't, it kind of feels like it's not a match to maybe the way you're living life or like what you're doing a lot of healing work, you're doing a lot of like things, like you put a lot of effort into your life, you're doing a lot of things, but then it feels like things come in and sabotage that. And it's like this pattern that you're like, why? And it might even make you feel kind of victimized by life sometimes because you're like, this is so unfair. Like this is literally so unfair. Yeah, I feel like things happen where it might feel quite unfair and make you kind of feel like this is really not fair. So spirit and your spirit guides, like they want to kind of bring your awareness to the deepest part of you, which is like your subconscious, which is like, I feel you have this subconscious belief that was imprinted in you from childhood around not feeling good enough or not feeling like worthy of receiving all that you are actually worthy of receiving. So for you, the healing work that you're doing in this lifetime is at like the deepest possible level. And it's like really healing these deeply held emotions that we don't necessarily feel consciously. Like, for example, to give you a contrast, it's like, we often feel fear and anxiety, right? It's like not one that we can easily get away from. Like fear and anxiety is something that kind of like lives within us, and it's not something that we can easily kind of run from or like be like, oh, I didn't even realize I was feeling anxious, or like maybe some people, but I feel like anxiety has these physical symptoms where it's like your heartbeat or your breath or whatever. It's like it's really there in the body. Whereas with shame and guilt, like it's so deeply buried that we often have no idea that it's even present. So it can be quite like disruptive is what I'm getting to your sense of foundation and like grounding in life. And for some reason, like you're meant to really bring awareness to this because like I said, every single person on earth experiences it at some level, but you're here to really bring it up and like unearth it and bring it into your conscious awareness so that it doesn't have a hold of you anymore. Because I see for you in life, like you're really meant to be very stable, very abundant, and really like money should be the easiest thing for you to make. Like your relationship with money actually has the potential to be incredible, and for you to be like incredibly wealthy, and for it to be incredibly easy and effortless for you to have money. And for instead of things that feel unlucky or unfair manifesting where suddenly money gets taken away or you get a massive bill out of nowhere and you're like, oh my gosh, how's this happened again this month or whatever. Instead, it would be like the opposite energy where it's like, oh, you get all this windfall of abundance, or people always want to give to you, or, you get things for free. That's actually how your energy is meant to be, like, because you're a magical being, like you're in the frequencies of magic. Like that's how life is meant to kind of treat you. You're meant to be treated with so much love and simplicity, and things being really easy, and it being really easy for you to stay grounded and kind of like feel really safe and secure in your body and in your home and in your financial situation. So the key for you to achieving that is by really, really unearthing this like the deepest subconscious belief, that core belief. They talk about it as like a core belief in cognitive behavioral therapy. There's core beliefs that then impact our thoughts, which then impacts our behavior. And when we target it at the deepest level, then we can change our thoughts, we can change our behavior. Or we can target it from changing our behavior and changing our thoughts and da-da-da. But for you, it's like you really need to get to that core belief level. That's deepest level that for most people, it's subconscious. Like we don't know. We're not consciously aware of like, oh yeah, I've got this belief that I'm not good enough and it's impacting every part of my life. It's like usually we get there through a lot of introspection, a lot of healing work. We understand like, oh yeah, I've got this thing and it's vibrating in my subconscious and it's bringing to me all of these things to make me aware of it. So for you, awareness is key, like making sure that things don't stay buried. That's really important for you in your life because you're working with the element of earth. And I feel that, like I said, like spirit really wants you to know that no matter what your history with money or finances has been, like you are meant to be very abundant and to feel very safe and secure. I feel like this is also about you feeling really safe and secure in your physical body and in your physical vessel. Because I feel like there might have been things that have manifested in your life that maybe didn't make you feel safe at a physical level, or in your physical body for some reason or whatever reason. And it might be traumas also vibrating within your subconscious that is causing some instability in your life. But I feel like you're really meant to be very stable and kind of really heal from, any of these subconscious patterns. The other thing I'm getting is that within relationship, I feel like you can take too much responsibility for things that aren't yours. And I think that can create a heaviness or a burden. And I feel like in this life, you're learning to discern like what's mine and what's not mine, like what's mine and what's theirs, and recognizing that, like, for example, you might feel really guilty if you like set a boundary with someone and be like, sorry, I can't do this today or whatever. I really need to rest, or I really need to focus on my own work. And then you might feel racked with guilt of like, oh my God, they're going to judge me, or they're going to think I'm selfish or something like this. And I feel like that's something that you're here to overcome, is like realizing that your guilt is coming from more of an illusion than from reality. And guilt is an important emotion. Like it can help to regulate us because it keeps it's like our conscience, right? We're like, oh, I feel bad if I do this thing, so I'm not going to do this thing. You know, to some extent, that's a healthy thing and we need it. And people that don't have guilt, it's like they don't have empathy in a way, right? So it's like, I feel like you're deeply empathic. You have deep empathy, and it's like you take on other people's feelings for them. And so it's like you kind of can really feel someone's disappointment if you set a boundary with them, or you can feel that they really wanted to hang out with you that day and now they're feeling a bit lonely. And so it's like you kind of take all of that on and you're feeling it all for them, and it's just too much. Like it's too heavy. It's too much of a burden. I feel like you can burden yourself, and maybe it even makes you isolate yourself a bit because you're like, oh, relationships are just too much for me. So I feel like you're really changing patterns within relationships where it's like you don't need to take on so much responsibility for other people's feelings and other people's emotions, because it just makes you feel burdened and kind of like it's too much, which it would be for anyone, but especially it's too much for someone who's as empathic as you. So I think that, like the two things that Spirit wants you to know about like healing in this life is the guilt of realizing that guilt, a lot of the time you're feeling guilt that is not appropriate, like it's inappropriate, it's not your responsibility. Like it's okay to set boundaries. We are sovereign, we are free, we are allowed to be who we want to be, we're allowed to say what we want to say. And I think that too much of the time you might change your behavior or change what you do in order to accommodate other people. And partly that's because, you know, it feels too much emotionally for you to sit with the discomfort of other people's feelings of disappointment or whatever. But I also feel like this might sometimes, when you accommodate these people, it's like you also block like true soul family and soul friendships from coming in. Like true soulmate relationships aren't really going to play this pattern out with you in the way that more dysfunctional relationships will. So I feel like there's something here about really setting boundaries and like understanding your worth within relationship, and that you don't have to self-sacrifice or overgive to other people, or realizing like when you feel guilt, it's likely not really necessary. Like you feel too much guilt. That is, you know how I was talking about some people feel not enough guilt and then they don't have empathy, right? They don't feel the consequences of their actions, and they don't have empathy for others, and it's not a nice feeling. But for you, it's like you're on the other side of the spectrum because you're an empath. So it's like you feel too much in a way, like you feel too much of the feelings when you set boundaries and stuff. So it can kind of prevent you from making those decisions and kind of putting yourself first. So there's a lot of alchemy work that you're doing to free yourself, because the element of earth can feel heavy. It can feel kind of like a burden. And I think you might have experienced it more on that side recently, or in your lifetime in the past historically, or even as a child maybe. And you're really meant to experience the positive side of it, which is more of a magical energy, like that magical energy of this earth that we're on right now. Like, it's such a beautiful magical energy. And I think that's why someone as sensitive and empathic as you chose to incarnate here at all in the first place, is because of the magic present here, because it is so incredible and it's so lovely and it's so magical to be a part of. And I just see you like being one with the earth and really feeling that sense of gratitude for being here. And I think that what it takes is really alchemizing those things that I was talking about, that feeling of not being good enough, and really reclaiming your self-worth in this lifetime, and really healing from any traumas that made you feel unsafe or insecure in your body or in your finances, things like this. Because I feel like you've been through more than maybe a lot of people have. Like, I feel like, look, everyone on this earth has gone through it. We're on earth, right? Like, really, like it's not an easy place. But I feel like for you especially, like there might be a lot of trauma that you carry, and you're very strong. Like, you have a lot of strength and stamina. Like, you have this endurance energy, like this ability to keep going and to carry so much when so many people would not have been able to do that. Like, you really have an incredible ability to do this. And I think that that's part of your superpower, is your strength and your ability to kind of like move forwards in life and to heal. And I think that with the physical health card, it like makes me think of healing. Like, you're here in this life to heal, to overcome patterns that were eroding your sense of self-worth, to recognize your true self-worth, and to really live in a very stable environment that's very safe. Like, you feel very safe in your body, you feel very safe in your relationships, you feel very safe in the land that you live in, the house that you live in, with your finances, you feel safe. And I think safety is like one of your keys to really unlocking the magic of your life. Like, when you feel safe, you feel the magic of life. I feel some of you might even have the energy of Saturn working with you in this life. You might have Saturn heavy influence, or you Capricorn or Earth placements, or you might just have like when you have your first Saturn return, which is around it finishes around age 29 and a half. I feel like after your first Saturn return, your life might actually get a lot easier. There's something about this. And then your next Saturn return, which is like 29 and a half years later, I think. Yeah, because it's like, right? Or something like that. I don't know the exact time, but it's like, I feel like by your first or your second Saturn return or something like this, you can Google when they are for you. But it's like by that time, I feel like your life, it's going to have a very different energy. Like, you're meant to experience the contrast, like kind of duality, like where things are heavy and then they're light. And I think that you kind of just have to keep going and get through, because things will get easier. Spirit really wants you to know, especially as well if you've had physical health issues. Spirit really wants you to know there is a pathway that you can heal them. There is a solution to every problem. Part of it is also believing that you are capable of healing and that your conditions can change, because I can really feel the heaviness when you're working, like when you are the element of earth, because I feel like you really are the element of earth. And so there's kind of like a heaviness. Think about like a big rock that's heavy, or like how much strength it would take to like lift a tree out because it's rooted in. Like, there's a rootedness to you, there's a groundedness to you, there's a heaviness to you. And so I feel like because of that, even though it's a gift, it can also feel sometimes like, oh, well, is anything going to change? Like, I feel like it's kind of an energy of feeling stuck. Like, you might feel stuck sometimes. Like, is anything going to change? I put so much effort in. Is anything ever going to change? And the answer is yes. But for you, like I said, it might come after a long cycle. Like, it might come after a long cycle that you're like, oh my God, I can't believe that took me like the first 30 years of my life to achieve it, or something like this. So you are amazing. Spirit really wants you to know that, because I feel like there's an energy in you where you like don't see yourself clearly a bit. And that comes through in relationships where you kind of like preference other people's needs above yourself. And it's like, you're actually amazing though, group 4. Did I say group 3? Sorry. Well, you might resonate with group 3 as well, although they're very different energies, but we can hold very different things within us. Like, this might just be one part of you that's the earth energy that needs to be seen and heard within you at the moment. This might not be your whole story or your whole life, right? But there is something about like you're not seeing yourself clearly, and that's part of you receiving like all your blessings and the magic of your life, is realizing like how beautiful you are. It could be really about your appearance as well. Like, you're so beautiful. Also realizing how incredible like you are. You're talented. You're you have like a strength that is so like noble. Like, I don't know what the word is. Like, it's integrity. Like, you have a strength and an integrity that is just, yeah, very, you know what I'm getting? It's going to be a slow transformation, okay? That's what you need to know, is that things might feel slower than you want them to, but it's because that's the energy of earth. Like, think about when something falls, like a tree falls in the forest. Like, it's making me think of the death card in the tarot, in the major arcana. The death card is like, when I think about death, it's like a slow transformation. Like, imagine a tree falls in the forest and it dies, or a branch, maybe a branch falls. We'll keep the tree alive, okay? A branch falls in the forest, and it's like shedding something. That tree has shed something, it's let go, and then that branch, it sits on the ground for a while, and it might become a habitat to little insects and animals, and then it might start to break down, and different fungi or moss grows on it, and then it goes to another state of decay, where it starts to become like more, you know, one with the soil, and then it becomes like, you know, completely like part of the land. That's kind of the energy that I'm getting of your healing. Like, it's kind of slow and in cycles, and there is a meaning to every part of it. Like, there is a beauty to every part of it. And it's something you've chosen in this lifetime. It's almost like I'm getting an energy of like, maybe you need to learn to slow down and have a bit more patience and stuff in life. I feel like you might really be heavily aspected by Saturn in your chart, because you're learning through delay or restriction in some way, and I can feel the heaviness of that, and how it's like, oh my god, this is intense. But you also have this like real strength and stamina that most people do not possess, and you will achieve the magic and the blessings that you want. Like, that this, just because you're touched by this earthy energy that might slow things down, doesn't mean that it won't happen, or doesn't mean you can't be blessed really deeply in life. And I really want to say, by your first Saturn return, things getting a lot easier for you in life. Like, by the time you are turning 30, right, things in your life really different, and maybe your abundance really different by that point in your life. Like, really, you could have a deep ancestral imprint of like poverty or starvation or something that you're really learning to heal in this lifetime. And that's why having a lot of security and stability is really important to you, and important to like how you heal and overcome things. So we're going to pull a couple of cards for you. Group number 4. So we got risk. Interesting. Kind of does make me think of group 3. So you might actually resonate with group 3, even though, like I said, they're very different energies, but it could be like this earth part of you is just one part, because we are all of the elements, right? But I feel like this part of you really needs to speak to you right now. Yeah, you know, I'm getting like, take a risk on yourself. Take a risk on yourself, and on how much, like, take a risk on your worth, like realizing how much you are worth. Could also be movement, like the stuck feeling. See, this card is the back of the deck. Remember how I was like, you might feel stuck sometimes in life? I feel like there could also be a message here from the element of earth saying like, sometimes you might need to get yourself moving, like move for yourself, or change patterns, change behaviors in order to get different results. Like, sometimes you might feel like you want to hold on to things like out of a sense of security and safety, like, oh, I already know this place, or I already know this relationship, or I already know this way of coping, and you might feel resistance to change, like, oh, I don't want to change, I don't want to, it's too uncomfortable or scary or something. And Spirit's saying like, taking more risks and moving and changing is actually going to help you kind of speed this process up, especially if you are feeling kind of that sense of stuckness in life. It's like making small changes in your life and kind of letting them grow and get bigger and bigger. I feel like it's going to really help you, because you can have some resistance to change even when it's actually going to make you feel better. And you might even have this sense of like, oh, why didn't I just like take this risk earlier? Why didn't I just try this thing out earlier, or take this class earlier, or, you know, move cities earlier? Because actually it's great and I love it here. You know, I think that subconsciously you might hold yourself back a little bit, even though actually it would feel really good to make those changes and to have that thing shift in your life. So you got the Frog, cleaning house, releasing emotional baggage. So let's pull one card to clarify this. Thank you, Spirit. Oh, we have the Lady of the Lake. absolute truth, courage, self-respect, responsibility. We're going to pull one more card for you, group number 4. Yeah, we have perception. Look at that, back of the deck, perception and beauty. Exactly. Your perception around your beauty. For real. Like, you're really beautiful. I really feel that. Like, you have a beauty. You have a natural beauty to you. Whatever that means, like, you're beautiful. And I feel like maybe some of you, because, like, there's something about the modern times that I feel like natural beauty can be a little bit usurped by like social media. There's, so many people having surgeries and stuff to look good in photos, or, just the amount of people's faces that we are exposed to through social media. I like read this in some article one time. It's like completely unnatural. Like, we are used to, as humans, kind of like living in villages and or like in smaller kind of communities, and therefore like not seeing that many kind of emanations of a face. So we kind of exposed to like more beautiful people than we would ever naturally kind of see in our lifetime. And I think that can make us feel like less than, or like we're not that, because we can compare easily to like, people who have perfect bone structure or whatever it might be. And even if you have perfect bone structure, do you know how many people that I've met who are like absolutely drop dead gorgeous, like perfect looking, and they still insecure and they still don't think they're beautiful and they still think they need plastic surgery or whatever else. And it's just like, oh my God, it's like this mind virus that's sort of taken over around perception and people not realizing like their own worth and their beauty. And I feel like something about this has touched your life in some way where, for whatever reasons, like you don't always see how incredibly beautiful you are. And I think that's something that you're here to like overcome. And I even see you maybe like teaching this to your children, or like learning how to overcome this so you can like change this for your children. Maybe it was something that your lineage had, your ancestry had, or something, like a real not recognizing your beauty, or like not embracing, like, because there's sort of, I kind of love the idea of like people embracing their natural features, even if it's like different to what the beauty standard is, like a different kind of nose, but it's like, oh, but it comes from my heritage or my culture, or, like something deep like within them that they can kind of like see as beautiful, even if it's like different, because different is beautiful. And even like in the 90s, for example, there was still like a lot, even though like people were, on media, they were presented like the most sort of attractive, like people, became actors and models and whatever. There was still a lot more variation in the appearance. Whereas nowadays there's sort of this like, kind of like mono look, like that everyone kind of has the same look because they're all going to the same surgeons, and it's like all kind of like one morphing into one. I don't know why I got off on this tangent, because it's like totally not what I thought this reading would go into, but I feel like there's something about that, because it's about this like insidious sense of self-worth where it's like someone can literally be beautiful but they might still not have the self-worth as if they are. So it really doesn't matter like how you think you are, because Spirit's saying you are like just objectively very beautiful. You are a very beautiful person, and you're a very beautiful being, like physically as well. Like, this is about your physical beauty. And there's something like in this lifetime where you're going to learn how to accept that. You're going to learn how to shift your perception and kind of like get out of this mind virus of like, oh, I need to look like this, like everyone else or whatever. It's like really about, yeah, some kind of like alchemy work around really shifting your perception of yourself, and shifting, and that comes into as well what I was saying about like low self-worth, or not feeling like you can have boundaries, or feeling guilty. Like, you're really going to come into your power in this lifetime. Like, it doesn't matter how long it takes, because you are going to come there. And Spirit's saying like that there's a lot of emotional cleansing work that you're doing. Like, it might even be, like I said, for your lineage. Like, there's something about where it's like deeper than just about you. Like, it's almost like for a lineage or for the collective consciousness. Like, you're healing some kind of wound around self-worth and appearance. And it's not just appearance, but that is coming through in your reading for some reason. So it must have touched your life in some way. So I just shifted the cards because I realized they weren't kind of like in shot properly. But yeah, so we also have the Lady of the Lake, absolute truth, courage, self-respect and responsibility, number 8, which is like a really powerful card. It's probably one of the most powerful in this deck. And that is you coming into your power like fully. Like, you are kind of going to be surprised. Like, I think that you actually make more progress than maybe I was like giving credit for in the way I was like structuring your reading and the way it was coming through, because now I'm seeing like every single year you get more and more confident, you get more and more self-accepting, you get more and more kind of to receive your own beauty and your own gifts and your own worth. Like every single year you could look back on, like, maybe you could see it in photos, or if you have any like recordings of yourself, or if you hear yourself talk, it's like, oh my gosh, like I'm so much more confident now, or I can feel my self-worth like getting better and better and better over time. Like time is your friend in this life. That's what I want to say about the Saturn energy, because it's like time is your friend. Like the more time that goes on, the more you're embodying your power, the more you're embodying your beauty, the more you're embodying your strength, and the more you're embodying your innate sense of self-worth, and you're clearing, like emotionally clearing out any kind of baggage that was keeping you from really seeing that, because you have gone through a lot in this life. Like you've gone through a lot of traumas, and that might be why you kind of maybe fixated at times on your appearance, on your beauty, or you might have had physical health issues that genuinely impacted your appearance, that made it harder to accept the way you are, or something like this. And I just feel like the main message Spirit wants to say is like everything can be overcome. Like you can heal this, you can heal what you're going through, and you can live a new life. If you do feel stuck in different times in your life, I feel like the element of earth is saying take a risk, make a change, take a chance, like try something differently, try to move yourself out of it. Even if it feels scary, or even if you want to stay kind of in a comfort zone kind of energy, try to take more risks, because it's going to help you to recognize like how good it feels. Because as soon as you take risk and you feel how good it feels, it's going to kind of empower you to keep taking more and to keep making those changes. There might be a change actually as you're receiving this reading, that you have been contemplating. You might have been contemplating it for a while and been like really scared. Like, what if I take this change, make this risk, take this change, take this risk, make this change, and then I get abandoned, or I lose money, or, it doesn't work out for me. I feel like if there's one that you've really been contemplating, like you've been sitting on it, Spirit saying go for it, it's going to help. It's going to work out for you in the long term. Like it might be initially like, oh, I don't know, I've like lost a bit of money or something like that. But it's like long term, it's going to make you more money. It's going to make you way, way more money. And there's something about the change, like taking a risk and making that change, is going to set you free in some way. Like I feel like you really need to free yourself when you feel stuck. You need to like find ways that you can free yourself. And a lot of the time that's through changing something. So you're on a massive journey of transformation, group 4. You really are. And every year that passes, you're getting more and more in your power. Like time is your friend in this lifetime, and your perception of yourself will drastically change, and you're going to heal from any illusions where you haven't been seeing yourself clearly, or you haven't been seeing your self-worth clearly. And you're super capable of making tons and tons of money and really feeling the true beauty of who you are, and like feeling yourself as so beautiful, and clearing out any kind of traumas from your life that you've been through with that frog card, the emotional, releasing emotional baggage, cleaning house. I feel like that's kind of a lot to do with your lifetime, is like really this alchemy of clearing trauma so that you can become this lady of the lake, like absolute truth, courage, self-respect, and responsibility, and where you won't feel anymore like a victim to life. You'll feel like life is working for you, and you'll be filled with gratitude, and really safe relationships, and a real beautiful perception of yourself that's based in truth, absolute truth, like this card says, absolute truth. All right, group 4, that's really all we have time for, but I do hope this reading served you in some way. And if you would like to check out more of my work, I have just released the 4 Elements Activation series, where you can buy all 4 light language healings for 50% off at the moment. Or you might just resonate with the Element of Earth one, which is really, really good for everything that I was just talking about in your reading, like guilt and shame and healing low self-worth patterns that may be eroding your sense of confidence, or eroding your sense of like financial stability as well, because it really impacts our sense of finances. You can read more about it. I've linked everything in the description box below. And yeah, I'm just sending you so much love and light on your path. Take really good care of yourself.